Watermetrics and welcome to Watermetrics. My name is Looney and I'll be assisting you to get all of your questions through to us. Today we're focusing on final exam prep for business studies. All you need to do is search for all of our social media pages, Watermetrics, as well as our WhatsApp line, and the details are on the screen. Please don't forget to download the To-Enable app to take part in today's assessment. We've got a cool competition going on for you guys, so stay tuned to get all of those details later on in the show. I've got my awesome teacher Dave, as well as our sign language interpreter Pumza. Thank you so much guys, and over to you.
Welcome Matrix. Today we'll be going through all the topics for paper 2. We'll be doing a lot of section B questions. Remember that the section B questions can be combined to form a section C essay question, and we'll also be going through some multiple choice questions and helping you guys where you make a lot of silly mistakes to help prevent you from doing that, to make sure that you can get the best marks possible. So let's get on with what questions we have in paper 2. So the first question we're going to be dealing with has got to do with insurance. So it says top traders bought stock worth 400,000 Rand, but insured it for 300,000 Rand. There was a fire in their warehouse and they had destroyed stock to the value of 60,000 Rand. So we can already see that there's a bit of an issue there. The market value is 400,000 Rand of the stock. However, top traders have only insured the stock for 300,000 Rand. Then they had a fire in their warehouse and 60,000 Rand's worth of stock was damaged. So let's see what questions they could possibly ask us from the scenario. So the first question is, name the insurance clause that is applicable to the scenario above. So we can see that, that they have underinsured their stock, and there's a specific term for that, and that is known as the average clause. All right. So they will take how much the stock was insured for, they look at your damages, and then they'll work out a ratio according to how much you've insured your stock for and their market value. We go on to the second part of the question. We'll see now they ask us to calculate the amount that top traders will receive as compensation from the insurer. Show all calculations. All right, so if we look there, you've got your formula. It's your insured amount over the market value times by the loss or damages. If you put out the formula, you usually will receive a mark for that. So make sure that you're always putting in the formulas so that you don't lose out on any marks in case that you've made a mistake in your final answer. You'll still be able to receive some marks. So there we see that the insured amount was 300,000 Rand over the market value, which is 400,000 Rand, times by our damages, which was 60,000 Rand, which gives us a total answer of 45,000 Rand. So you can see there that they almost work out your loss in a ratio according to the market value and how much you insured. They work out that ratio, and that is why they got paid out 45,000 Rand for the damages and not 60,000 Rand for the damages. Now, a lot of you might say, yeah, but that doesn't make sense because their damages was less than what they had insured it for, because they had insured for 300,000 Rand. However, the damages was 60,000 Rand, and that 60,000 is less than the 300,000. That's where it comes in, where they have that ratio. Your insured amount over the market value, and they have that ratio there times by the damages, where if they had insured it for 400,000 Rand, the insurance company would then have paid them out their full amount of damages, 60,000 Rand, because the ratio would have been 1 times by the damages. All right, let's go on to our next question. All right, so we need to advise the businesses on how management and legislation could contribute to the success and or failure of a public company. All right, so a lot of you get confused between a state-owned enterprise and a public company. Remember, a public company is listed on the JSE, and anyone can buy shares in a public company, whether it be a natural person such as you or I, or an organization. They can buy shares in a public company, where a state-owned company is owned by the government. Their only shareholder is the government. So just bear that in mind when you get into your different forms of ownership, that you do not confuse a public company and a state-owned company. So let's unpack what the question is asking from us here. So firstly, now we need to consider management success, management failure, and legislation success. Right, so the first one for management success, it is managed by at least 3 competent or highly skilled directors. Right, so we can go out and we can get the best people to run our company. They'll be highly skilled, they'll be very competent, and they'll have experience in running a company, which is going to stand us in good stead because we might not, as the shareholders, have the experience in order to run a big public company. Now we can get people in who have that experience and can run the company in a very efficient manner. Shareholders can vote for or appoint the most capable directors to manage their company. So at the annual general meeting, the shareholders vote and they decide who the directors should be. So all the shareholders get to vote. Remember though, in a public company, you're dealing with millions of shares. So if you only own 1 share, your slice of the vote is a lot smaller than someone who might own 10% of the company. Right, so just bear that in mind. Right, directors bring creative ideas which encourage innovation, high productivity and efficiency in the company. Right, so if you look at some of your most innovative business owners and directors out there, they bring a lot of creativity in. You look at Steve Jobs when he went back to Apple, he brought a lot of creativity in creating the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad. So they bring in this creativity, this innovation, which can change a company completely. If we look, the management of a company can improve since directors are accountable to shareholders. So if the directors of a company are not doing well for the company, at the annual general meeting, shareholders can vote to have those directors removed. So those directors are always going to be on their toes. They're going to have to make sure that they're doing what's best for the company and that the company is continuously going up, because if the company isn't going up, the directors can vote the shareholders can vote to have the directors removed from the company. If we look at management failure, directors may not have a direct interest in the company, which can hamper growth and profit maximization. So sometimes you get some directors who are serial job hoppers, and they go from one company to the other. They're looking out for their interests, where they might not be looking out for the interests of the party, of the organization, which could be a direct conflict for the business. You know, the shareholders want the business to succeed, where the directors are just looking after their own personal interests. Directors may not be motivated to work very hard because shareholders decide on the director's remuneration. So at the annual general meeting every year, shareholders vote to see how much remuneration directors should get. And if directors can see that shareholders are going to be very negative in terms of how much remuneration they must get, those directors are not going to be motivated to work very hard. They're just going to actually sit back and be like, whatever, I'm not going to do anything. And that could hamper the productivity of the business. That also could speed up the running down of the business, which is not what we want. Especially if we're investing in a public company, we want to see our share price continuously go up. Right. Another management failure is large management structures can result in decision making taking their time. Right. So there might be an opportunity that the business needs to take advantage of very quickly, but however, because it's got to go through formal structures, the decision making takes a lot longer, especially when it comes to big decisions within the business. You have to release a special meeting request to shareholders so that you can get shareholder approval. Shareholders might say no. So there's a whole long red tape process which can hamper fast decision making. Some shareholders may not exercise their voting rights, resulting in choosing the wrong person as a director. So some people might be like, well, my vote doesn't count, so therefore I'm not going to vote, and then they don't vote, and what happens is that potentially a wrong director gets in the business because only very little people voted for who should be a director of the company. So we might not get the best directors because there might be some apathy from people where they just like, I don't feel like voting. Right. Another one for management failure. Management may be open to legal challenges if their reports do not comply with the King Code. You just have to look at a couple of organizations in recent history in South Africa that didn't comply with the King Code, and now those directors that were running that particular business, they are facing legal challenges because they didn't run the company as best as they could. Directors' fees increase the company's expenses, which reduces net profit. Right? Your directors, often you have to pay them quite a good remuneration package. That's an extra expense for the business. The more expenses there are for the business, the less profit that we are going to have. All right, if we look at legislation success, the company and its owners and shareholders are separate entities, which may encourage more people to join the company. Right? So in the eyes of the law, the company and the shareholders are seen as different entities. So people want to invest in those businesses because no matter what happens in that business, no one can come and take away their personal assets, which goes into my next point in terms of limited liability, allows for greater risk-taking, which may lead to the growth of the business. So because we have a limited liability, our personal assets are not at stake because in the eyes of the law, the business and the individual individual shareholder is seen as different, and then we are allowed to take greater risks, which may result in the business being able to grow even more. If you look there, also with legislation, we have to audit our financial statements, and this gives shareholders assurance that the business is being properly managed and supports raising additional finance. Right, so every year, a public company, they have to release their audited financial results. They have to publish it in various media forms, newspaper. They also have to go out for press releases there. So now people will know that, right, these results have been audited, they are true, and I can make an informed decision on whether or not to invest in this business or how successful is this business going to be in the future. If we look at legislation failure, formation procedures are time-consuming and complicated and expensive, and there are many legal documents that need to be prepared and submitted. So it is quite, you can't all of a sudden today just say, right, I'm going to start a public company today. There's a whole process that you have to go through. It's very time-consuming. If you look, there's a lot of businesses that want to do list on the JSE and cannot because they didn't conform to all of these different legal processes, which means that we've got a lot of companies that can't join the JSE. There's high formation establishment expenses required for large startup capital. So you need a lot of money in order to start a public company because there's a lot of expenses that you have to go through. You have to get lawyers, you have to have auditors. So all of that costs you quite a bit of money. If a public company does not comply with legislation, its license may be withdrawn from the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. Right? So you might lose the right to be able to operate as a company if you don't comply with any legislation and laws. The JSE can also suspend you from trading on the JSE. And publishing of financial statements may discourage investors to invest in underperforming companies. Right? So if you see a company that isn't doing well at all, and you're looking at their audited financial results, you're going to be like, well, I don't want to invest in this company because this company isn't doing well at all. When actually they may need investors to help them succeed. However, a lot of people will be discouraged because they're going to be like, this is going to be a bad investment and I only want my money to grow. And if annual audited financial statements is very costly and the high formation and establishment expenses require large startup capital, so it's going to be very costly, time consuming. So like those are some of the failures. And Luni, back to you.
Thank you, Dave. Guys, we are going to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you straight after this. We're back from the break, guys. I hope you're still enjoying the show. If you've just joined us, we are doing your final exam prep to help you with the upcoming exams. This next competition is for anyone who wants to win themselves something, or you're constantly running out of data and you just want to win. Watermetric is bringing you the hashtag WazzaWinner competition, where 2 lucky matriculants stand a chance to win 2 gigs of data. All you need to do to enter is head on over to our Facebook page and all of the details will be there. Thank you so much, Dave, and over to you.
Welcome back, Matrix. We're going to be carrying and going through paper 2. We'll be doing a lot of Section B questions. Remember that Section B questions can be combined together to form a Section C or essay question. Let's get back to the questions that we have here. So we have June Traders has decided to invest their surplus profits in corporate social investments, or CSI projects. They invested in communities by donating school uniforms. They invested in sporting facilities were also provided by JT to promote a healthy lifestyle. All right, so the first question is, quote, 2 ways in which JT contributed to the well-being of their community. All right, it is vital when they say quote, please, you need to insert quotation marks, otherwise you're going to be losing out on these marks. This is a very big mistake that a lot of matrics make when they ask you to quote something. You don't quote properly, and then you lose out on those marks, and those marks can be the difference between you getting a distinction or passing and failing, and we want you guys to do as well as possible. So let's see what possible questions could come out here. So we've got quote 2 ways. So the first one is June Traders decided to invest their surplus profit in corporate social investment projects. So they're putting money to corporate social investment projects so that they can give something back to the community or their stakeholders. The next one, they invested in communities by donating school uniforms. So I wanted to make sure that the learners in those communities have school uniforms, so when they go to school, they feel like they are part of school. This was a way that they could give back to the community. Right, and then they also put in sporting facilities, were also provided by JT to promote a healthy lifestyle. So that can be something that all communities want. As I'm sure you would have noticed that when we had our lockdown, we didn't have any sport. Right? People couldn't go outside and exercise. Where JT, they wanted to build sporting facilities so that people can go out there and exercise, and they promote a healthier lifestyle. If we have a healthier lifestyle for our community and for our workers, that means they're going to be more productive. The more productive they are, the more profitable the business will be, and then we can also withstand potential recessions because our workers are healthy and they are motivated. All right, so the next part of the question is, discuss the impact of corporate social investment on JT as a business. Now, whenever you see the word impact, right, think of advantages and disadvantages in your answer there. So make sure that you mention both of them, unless they say specifically what is the negative impact. When you see the word impact, think of advantages and disadvantages. So the first one is, JT may attract experienced employees or increase the pool of skilled labor, which could increase their productivity. All right, so all businesses want to be a part of something positive, and so do the employees. Now, the employees can see that JT is looking after their community, they're investing in their community, they want to be a part of that because that's something good. Everyone's proud to be associated with something that's good and something that adds value to the community. So you're going to see a lot of people who might have similar personal values will want to work for JT. Now that means that their pool of potential employees is a lot bigger, and you might have experienced people that will want to get involved with JT because of all the good work that they're doing. There's a positive or improved image as the business looks after employees, conducts itself and in a responsible way. Right, so now the business is going to be have a very positive look in the community because they're looking after the community, they're not harming the community. So the more positive we are seen in the business, the better it's going to be for us. We're going to get all that good publicity. People are going to want to be a part of our business, which is going to lead to more sustainability and profitability because now the community is going to support us, and other people will want to support us. Right. Other advantages, we may have a competitive advantage resulting in good publicity or an improved reputation. So when people can see that we're doing a lot of good for the community, the community will rather support us than someone that isn't doing anything for the community. So we've got that competitive advantage. We offer quality products and we look after the community, and people will be like, well, I'm going to go and support them because they actually look after the community. So think of maybe like your favorite sports team. If they're doing community projects or their sponsors are helping with community projects, you're going to see that people would rather want to support them than maybe their competition. And that's what's going to give them their competitive edge. They will enjoy the goodwill and support of communities. When communities can see that the business is looking after them and is just not looking after themselves in terms of getting as much profit as they can, that's going to buy a lot of goodwill from the community. They're going to see, yeah, right, this business, yes, they look after themselves, but they also look after their community. And that will lead to a lot more sustainability for the business because there's a lot of goodwill. Where when you think of a business that has negatively impacted a community, you'll see a lot of people want to boycott them. They will want nothing to do with them, which is going to make their survival just so much harder. CSI Projects promotes teamwork within businesses. So you might get employees that will go and help out at a local school, maybe go paint a school or help with a CSI project. Right? You're going to have all of these employees that are going to be working together, and that's going to create teamwork. Right? The better teamwork we have in the business, the more productive it's going to be, the more positive that environment is going to be. People want to be involved in a good teamwork environment. Right? And it promotes customer loyalty, resulting in more sales. Right? So our customers are going to say, right, these people look after their community, they look after the environment. I want to be a part of that. Every time that I support this business, I know that some of the money that they get from me is going to go back into the community and make the community a better place. So therefore, if I have the option between them or their competition, I will always go with the business that supports the CSI projects, because I know that they are giving back to the community, which is going to make me a lifelong customer, which is going to lead to more sustainability of the business and a higher profitability. It promotes customer loyalty, resulting in more sales, as we said there. CSI projects may be used as a marketing strategy to promote their products. So you'll see that there's some fast food chains that when you buy food from them, they ask if you want to donate to their respective charities, which is the promotion of their products, because every time that you buy that, let's say, a burger or some chicken, you know that money that you're adding on your bill at the end is going to go to a good place, and then that promotes the products. And people, they want to be a part of something positive, and this is a manner in which they can be involved in something positive. And it helps to attract investors because of increased profits and income, and also in terms of ethical responsibility that the business has to make sure that they look after their community. We're starting to see a lot more green investors, ethical investors that want to invest in businesses because they're doing the right thing. And you're also going to have investors that are going to invest because they can see that the way the business conducts itself is a lot more sustainable. And if a business is sustainable, it's going to be more profitable. More profitable it is, the chances of you getting a dividend income increases, If you're going to get a good dividend income, people are going to want to buy the shares of your business. If they buy the shares, if there's a big demand for the shares of your business, we're going to see the share price go up, which is going to add value to our investors. It gives JT a tax advantage, such as tax reduction or rebates. They pay less tax. The less tax they pay, the more profit they have, which is just going to mean that the business is more sustainable. Once again, goes into attracting more investors because they're having to pay less tax. It helps to retain staff or lower staff turnover as employees' health and safety are considered. So employees feel that they're being taken care of, and because they're being taken care of, they don't want to go and look for a job at another company because they're very happy with the company that they're at now. So we don't have to go and find new employees, retrain them, get them up to the standard that we expect before they're productive. Our employees are going to want to stay there because they're like, we're getting looked after here. Our well-being is as important to the company as their profit is. And they're also doing a lot of good for the community, so we want to be a part of that. We want to stay there. And it improves the health of its employees through focused CSR projects. There could also potentially be where they might get doctors or nurses in to come in and give like the flu vaccine to the employees, or to check on the employees' health. Right? So if employees' health and welfare is taken care of, they're going to be a lot more positive when it comes to the business, and they're going to want to stay in the business. Now we're going to go on to our negatives. So the first one is JT may not be supported, or customers may not buy their products or services, resulting in a decrease in sales. So potentially, like the customers don't see the point of their CSR project, and they're like, well, I'm not going to go and support these guys because their CSR project hasn't delivered through on the community, and I'd rather not support them. I want to go and support someone else, which could result in a decrease in sales for the business. Small and medium enterprises find it difficult to implement CSR programs. Right? So small and medium companies, they don't have a lot of money, especially if the country's going through a recession or lockdown like South Africa had during COVID-19. Right? So they need all the money that they have to help build the business, to keep the business afloat. Where if they had to invest in CSR projects now, they may not see a return on that investment, and that money can be better used in running the business rather than external constraints of the business. Detailed reports must be drawn up, which can be time consuming. So now we're not focusing on our core business. We rather have to write up reports about our CSR project, which is very time consuming. So rather than us focusing on the business, we're now focusing on our CSR projects, which might not have anything to do with our actual business, and we could lose focus on our business. If we lose focus on our business, we might not be able to be as profitable as we want to be, and that could result in the business contracting and even potentially closing down because we're not focusing on our core objective, which is to run the business as profitable as possible. Social spending reduces businesses or economic efficiency, which makes us less competitive. So if we're spending a lot of money on our CSR projects, we might not have money to develop our new products or services. We may not have money for our marketing budget. We may not have money to train our employees. So we'll see there that we're not using our resources efficiently, and which can have a negative impact on the growth of our business. Social involvement is funded from the business profits, which could have been used to benefit customers or reduce prices. That's a very important point there. If you look, there was recently a retailer that invested R1 billion in bringing down the price of chicken, right, which a lot of customers are very happy about, especially when it's a tough economic downturn in South Africa, so people are looking for good quality products at cheaper prices, where this business, they were able to invest R1 billion to bring down the price of their chicken, where if you're investing in CSI Projects, that money could have been better spent within the business to help bring down the price of your products or services, which would mean that we would have more customers that want to buy from us, which is going to lead to more profitability of the business. CSI activities distract the business to focus from its core business functions. As I mentioned earlier, now we're focusing on a CSI project rather than our actual business, and we actually might not have the skills to focus on the CSI project as well as we could have. And now we're doing a project that is not 100% where it should be. We're also not operating our business at 100%. So what's going to happen? The entire business is going to suffer. And if the entire business suffers, how are we going to actually be able to run a CSR project? Because that money that we would be using for the CSR project, we now need to use to keep the business afloat. It finds it difficult to adhere to legislation governing CSR. So that's, you're going to have to perhaps even pull in an expert to make sure that you comply with the legislation when it comes to corporate social investment, which is going to be time consuming as well as an extra expense for the business. It can increase financial risk as programs cost money and may impact negatively on profits, which I've already mentioned earlier. So we're going to be losing out on that money, which may not be that effective for the business, right? And it is difficult to accurately measure the effectiveness of social investment. So just because we run a program, we don't know how effective was it. Did it actually work? Did it achieve the goals there? And also the thing with CSR projects is that they're long-term based. So you don't know after year 1 or year 2 if your project is actually successful, because it might only show after year 3. So you don't know, and it's very difficult for you to determine whether or not these projects have been successful. It's not easy to determine the exact needs of the communities, which may result in fruitless expenditure on CSR. We don't know what community wants. Do they need education? Do they need healthcare? Do they need infrastructure? We might think, oh, okay, cool, all they need is for us to build them a road. They're like, no, our biggest issue is that we have so much unemployment and we have people that are sick, right? So they're going to be like, right, we actually needed education and healthcare, but you've given us infrastructure, which we don't need. And most managers are not trained or lack experience to handle these programs, right? So some people will be like, I don't know how to run an education program. I don't know how to run a healthcare program. I know how to run a business, right? So you're going to have that conflict there, and that can also hamper the motivation of your managers and their confidence, because they might not be running a CSR program properly, which is going to dampen their confidence, which could impact them in the running of the business. And over to you, Luni.
Thank you, Dave. Guys, let's take a quick break. Don't forget to enter the competition, as well as send us your questions and comments on all our social media platforms, and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back from the break, guys. We're still busy with your business studies final exam prep. So thank you so much, Dave, and over to you.
Matrix, we're still going to be continuing with paper 2 today, but we'll be going on to multiple choice questions. And I'll also be discussing a lot of mistakes that you make when it comes to your multiple choice questions, just to ensure that you don't make these same mistakes and lose out on some silly marks there. So let's look at our first question. So William, the manager of Eden Supermarkets, applies the leadership style when delegating tasks to followers without supervision. So our options are autocratic, bureaucratic, laissez-faire or free rein, or charismatic. So if I look at a lot of the answers that you guys give, a lot of you guys went for autocratic and for bureaucratic, when actually the answer was laissez-faire or free rein. Right, so when you've got highly skilled workers, right, you can just delegate tasks to them and let them be. Remember, we're autocratic. You usually have an autocratic leadership style when your workers aren't highly skilled and you have to keep on telling them what to do because they don't know what to do. And bureaucratic, that's where we're just looking, there's a whole bunch of rules that you have to comply with, and that's the leadership style that you'll run with there. Where laissez-faire is when you've got highly skilled workers and you can just delegate tasks to them and they can go out and complete those tasks. If we look at the next question, this is a really good question. So the company provides essential services such as water and electricity at reasonable prices. This is a great question because a lot of you get confused with the options that we have here. So the first one is personal liability company. Then we have option B, state-owned, option C, public, or option D, private. So if we look at where you guys went there, you went for state-owned and for public. Now, when we look at the answer, it is B, state-owned. So a state-owned enterprise is an enterprise that is owned by the government. All right. Now, understand me, the government is voted for by the people. All right. However, a state-owned enterprise has only one shareholder, and that's the government. Where a lot of you get confused is with a public company. You assume that a public company is something that is run there for the public. No, a public company means that anyone can buy shares in that company, either a natural person or an organization, and they can have millions of shareholders. Where a state-owned company, they're there to provide goods and services at reasonable prices to the public or the people of a country in its whole there. So just make sure you understand the difference there. And when you see public company, it's got nothing to do with a state-owned company. All right, the next one is, Tempe allows Joyce time to speak in an angry manner without attacking her. This is an example of dealing with a different personality. So we've got A, a complaining personality, or B, a quiet personality, C, an expert personality, or D, an aggressive personality. So if we look at your guys' answers, you've got complaining and aggressive that a lot of you guys picked there, and it is D, an aggressive personality, right? So when we're dealing with difficult people, when they're aggressive, right, just let them vent. As a manager, you just listen, you don't attack them, you just make sure that you keep very calm, let them vent out, and then you can talk to them there, right? So that's for an aggressive personality. You also have complaining, which is that you would have a completely different approach to a complaining personality. All right, question 7, team dynamic theories help a business to allocate tasks to team members with similar personalities, or B, allocate tasks according to the role of each team member, C, establish good relationships with teams and promotes individual satisfaction. So it seems that a lot of you have been getting confused with the answer there. It's actually B, allocate tasks according to the role of each team member. A lot of people think team dynamics is just about making sure that everyone gets along, where it's actually all about making sure that we're allocating the right tasks according to the role of each team member. So you wouldn't put, for example, a goalkeeper as a striker in your football team, right? Because that's not his task there. That's not his role. All right, question 8. An example of non-verbal presentations is information in the form of A, written report, B, a data projector, C, video conference, or D, oral report. You guys are pretty okay on this, although we've had quite a few wrong answers there, but it's A, written report, right? It's non-verbal, okay? So currently the presentation that I'm giving you right now is verbal, right? I'm talking to you, I'm explaining concepts to you. Where if I had given you the notes on what I'm teaching today, there would be a written report. So don't confuse the two there. I know a lot of you just look to skip presentation, but there's a lot of marks that can come out of there. I've seen essay questions where they have where they ask you about presentation. Section A questions and Section B questions. So make sure that you don't just skip that section because you're like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Just make sure that, that you pay attention to all of the sections. Right. Final thoughts before we wrap up here is make sure that you go through all of your work. Make sure that you go to bed early. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you do not have enough sleep, you're not going to be fresh for your exam. You're not going to be able to concentrate. So make sure the night before your exam, you go to bed early. You've got enough sleep. You've caught up on sleep in case you've missed out on some sleep, so that your brain is fresh and that you go into your exam feeling very confident. Read the instructions carefully. I do not know how many times learners will either answer too many questions or too little questions. So in your reading time, make sure you go through all of the instructions. Your chief invigilator should go through all the instructions with you and also read what they're asking from you. Only answer 2 questions for Section B, only answer 1 question for Section C. Manage your time, right? So you can start with any question. If you want to start with your essay question first, you can do that. If you want to start with your Section B questions first, you can do that. Don't waste time on your Section A questions where you sit and you daydream about the potential answer there, because every minute that you lose out is time that you're not going to get back. If you're not going to get back that time, you're going to run out of time for your paper and potentially lose out on a whole bunch of marks. And then finally, all the best, guys. Just go out there, do past papers, make sure that you're keeping up to date with what's happening in the news that can help you understand your work a lot better, and go out there and absolutely crush it, guys. All the best. Over to you, Luni.
Thank you, Dave. Matrix, everything of the best for your exams. Please use our resources as well to revise and prepare yourselves for the upcoming exam. Congratulations to all of the competition winners who will be announced on our Facebook page after the show. Don't forget to check out our schedule on www.watermetrics.co.za, and if you missed any of the lessons, they are available on our YouTube channel. From me, Luni, Dave, and Pumza, thank you and goodbye.
Of 2020, congratulations for being so brave, so committed, and for staying the course during one of the most difficult years in our history. We're here to support you all the way. Our Watermetric Campaign was set up to support you up until the 8th of December 2020. We are offering you interactive exam guides, shows on SABC3, DSTV, Catch Up, and OVHD Channel 122 that are not to be missed. I wish you all the best in your final exams. You are the hope and the future of our country, and we're so proud of you for coming this far. No matter the outcome, you are at the finish line. Now give it your very, very best. And I thank you.
It's that time again. Welcome to our lounge. And I've got with me in the lounge
Paul, Prodige,
Renee, and I'm Darlene. So we're going to be talking about study timetables today. It's sometimes a boring subject. Really? Study timetables? We can actually make them interesting, and we want to help you so that you can make your study timetables work for you in order to manage your time. We've spoken about time management. Let's manage our time now on a study timetable. And there's different ways to do them. However, I want to give you 7 points today. Only 7 points today of how to put a timetable together and what to remember. So the first thing, I'm going to ask Paul, won't you please help me to stick some things up on the board there, just so that you can get an idea of the notes as we go along the 7 points. So you need to grab a pen and paper right now, and I need you to write down what are your responsibilities. What are your chores at home? We need to look at what are the things that are expected of you. Do you have sports? Do you have extra classes? What do you need to do? Write down your responsibilities so that they can be slotted into your timetable. Then number 2, secondly, write down your subjects, including extra subjects. Write them down so that you know where you're going to slot them in. Then, thirdly, we need to look at what is the best time for you of the day. Some of you are not morning people. Have you ever had those morning people who get up in the morning, it's like, hello, I'm so happy to be up and the world is wonderful, and you come through and it's like, give me some coffee, and I don't want to do this. Some of us are not good in the day. In the morning, we want to roll out of bed and crawl to the shower. Others are, give it to, let's go. Then we've got people who study well in the afternoon. Or maybe you like to sleep in the afternoon and you like to study at night. The night owls. Whatever the time is, the best time of the day for you, use that, what your body is telling you. Use it to the best that you can in between if you're still at school while doing lessons. Use it to the best of your ability to utilize your natural time, your body clock. Then, the next thing is we need to look at format. What is the different format that you might want to do it in? Now, what I've got here is when Paul's finished fitting that one up, I'm going to say, Paul, could you please tell us a little bit? We've asked him to show us a study timetable he's made. Mm-hmm. This is like quite hectic. Can you please explain this study timetable?
Yes, it's a quite simple one, not hectic one. This is like a clock. You see, it goes clockwise. I've got my days of the week. I've got Monday, I've got Tuesday, and I've got my subjects in between. It's like I've cut it a pie of some sort, and I've got my dates, I've got my time, and they move like this. So when I finish my task, I just write, okay, this is finished, the day is done, I've done it all. So this is how it goes.
Okay, some people would say that's very complicated.
It's not complicated. It's creativity. You've got your blocks here, which tells you.
Are you showing it's organized?
It is organized very, very well. Look at, I've got my English subject here. I've got life science here. I've got the date. I've got the time.
Okay. All right, so we need to be careful we don't diss somebody who's like really creative. You can have fun with a study timetable. Pretty show us yours.
Well, mine's a bit different because I like simplicity. You know, it's a bit ruined here, but that's not the point of it. I prefer to have mine in blocks, very easy to see, and as you can see, the red are the important things that happen and the times at which they happen at. And obviously there are empty blocks, which represent the breaks that I take.
Okay, so you take breaks.
Yeah.
Breaks are very important on your study timetable. Very important. Not 2-hour breaks, but breaks are important. So please make sure that you take a break. What is important? You play sport, you play soccer. Tell me quickly, how long is the break?
Well, in sports, there's 2 halves to the game, and in between the 2 halves, you have a 15-minute break. That's where you find the faults in your game, rest, and obviously you fix the faults in your game to be better in the second half.
All right, and that's for soccer.
Yeah.
And basketball, I know that you play basketball.
Basketball is almost the same thing, obviously. There's the 2 quarters or 4 quarters, and in between at halftime, that's where you have your 15-minute break where you really rest.
Okay, and what do the breaks do?
Well, the breaks is for you to talk to your coach, see how you've been doing, and obviously fix your mistakes.
Okay, so breaks are very important for our brains to process the information. Your brain starts filing that information. You have to take breaks. You can't push yourself for 2-3 hours without taking breaks. It's advisable to go 45 minutes and a 15-minute break, or 25 minutes and a 5-minute break. It's hard because you want to carry on, but do it. It will be so worth it for you. So, Renee, I see you fiddling on your phone here. What have you got?
Oh, mine is totally different. It's a digital one.
Okay.
I just don't have time to write on a piece of paper for my timetable. I use a digital one. It's either on my laptop or on my phone. If it's on my laptop, it's in a form of a spreadsheet. I carry this one with me because I carry my phone with me all the time. So it makes it very easy for me to use it.
Okay, so you need to make sure that the format you use works for you. Paper, digital, whatever it may be, please make sure that you have fun in setting it. Then we're looking at, we've said about the breaks. We can put down their breaks, Paul, because breaks, we said, are very, very important. So don't forget to have breaks in between looking at the format of your timetable. Then the next one is mix up your subjects. Don't study maths for the whole day. Your brain doesn't process it. Study maths, then maybe go to English. You can go back to maths later. Please mix your subjects up a bit to refresh your brain in terms of the study pathways in your brain. Then the 7th one is tick it off. Yes, to show that it's achieved. Yay! I think that's the best thing, is to say, I've written this exam, or I've finished studying this. Tick it off. Paul blocks it out in red over there. So that's one of the biggest things at the end. That's the target. I see you've got a target in the middle there. It's like a bullseye.
Yes, it's a bullseye. So everything goes red. It means I've met my target.
Okay, all right. So that fits in with our goals. So what I'm going to do here, all right, so now this is going to be quite interesting. Swap chairs. No, you can stay there.
I'm staying.
Yeah, you can stay there. Do you like marshmallows?
It depends.
Okay. Please have one.
Oh.
Put it in your mouth. Take another one. Okay, another one? Would you like one?
No, thanks.
Okay, put another one. Okay, no. Oh, can you take another one? Paul, please, another one. Sorry, can put another one, please? Okay, please. Okay,
Have another
please
one.
answer me.
Have another one.
Oh, come on, another one. Come on. Another one.
Come
Okay,
on.
wait. He looks like a chubby bunny or a chipmunk or something. All right, Paul, could you please swallow? Okay, all right. Paul, I'm sorry I'm doing this to you, but I'm using this as an example. Please don't cram. Please, can we all say that together? Don't cram. Don't cram. Don't cram. Learn in breaks, learn in portions. Don't cram things, because you can see Paul's battling here. When you cram, you're literally doing what he's done in his mouth, but you're doing it in your brain. You're shoving everything in, and your brain is not processing it. He has to chew piece by piece and swallow one piece at a time. So would you like one? Just to show him how to do it. So
This is how you do it,
yeah,
Paul.
this is how you do it. So that's what you have to do, bit by bit. Please remember when you're cramming, remember this packet of marshmallows. Don't cram, because you can't digest it and you can't swallow. It's very important. And the last thing I need to say is sleep. Please make sure you sleep. You should get a good 7 to 8 hours a night, and you're going, oh, I am serious. That's when your brain files everything and you're able to get a rest for the next morning. Don't cram and don't do last-minute learning just before the exam, because your brain's already processed it. Now you're going to be just shoving things in. So we hope that this has helped you with doing study timetables. I think we'd better end off here because Paul needs to get off set. So, okay, we're good to go. Thanks, guys.